a landowner living in the heart of France, DIYing her life in a crumbling yet beautiful 16th century chateau? What's not to like about that? And just like you and me, Stephanie Jarvis has caught the attention of many people around the world through her YouTube channel, Chateau Diaries. For many, the charm of the Chateau Diaries was in its relatability, including how Jarvis came to own the property because she was fed up with the rising rates of flats in London. Stephanie's casual attitude, unpretentious style, and openness about the challenges of chateau life made her feel more like a friend. Fans felt invested, not just in the property, but in Stephanie herself. They were rooting for her, eager to see the chateau restored to its former glory, and willing to pitch in with donations, comments, and gifts. But recently, the paint has started to chip off, and viewers are beginning to ask how Stephanie Jarvis has managed to maintain the fairy tale she's created. The enchanting French countryside and spellbinding scenes at Chateau de Lalande. Is it all just a facade for something else? For years, the chateau was less of a dream and more of a financial burden for Jarvis. Leaky roofs, broken heating, endless repairs. It became a game for survival. She rented out rooms to make ends meet, but Chateau de Lalande gained its true fame not through its history or grandeur, but through a platform no one saw coming: YouTube. With over 250,000 subscribers now hanging on to her every word, the Chateau Diaries became a runaway success, turning Jarvis from a struggling chateau owner into a global YouTube star. But what began as a heartwarming story of a woman winning against the odds is beginning to look like a carefully crafted mirage. Fans who once admired Jarvis for her grit and determination are now noticing inconsistencies. Is she a grifter after all? Vacations to five-star hotels, designer clothes, extravagant parties, and expensive purchases. All these just don't seem to align with the image of a woman struggling to maintain an aging chateau. As more money poured in, particularly through Patreon, where devoted fans contribute thousands of dollars monthly, the questions only grew louder, but all within an echo chamber because Stephanie herself never addressed these claims. With an estimated $22,000 a month in donations alone, one would expect the chateau's most pressing issues, like broken heating or crumbling infrastructure, to be a top priority. Yet those problems persist, while the focus seems to shift to luxurious decor and personal indulgences. It's not just the lavish spending that has viewers uneasy. Behind the charm of the chateau, there's a growing sense of detachment from reality. Jarvis presents herself as the quintessential down-to-earth figure, running around in housecoats, engaging with volunteers, grateful for fan-gifted trinkets, but people are beginning to see through the cracks now. The deeper followers dig, the more they realize how her initial story doesn't add up at all. Jarvis had painted her childhood as humble, but it contrasts sharply with stories of chandeliers from Venice and her eye for high-end fashion. Although she claims to love simple countryside pleasures, it all stands in stark contrast to the endless string of designer gowns, expensive vacations, and swanky social gatherings. However, there is something else which is quite unsettling about her. From a distance, the chateau seems like a place where friends and volunteers gather to help, and the restoration of this grand property is a communal effort. But some patrons who have ventured to stay there paint a different picture. There are a number of accounts where former Patreon subscribers booked a room to fulfill their dreams, only to return with completely shattered expectations, treated as inconveniences, ignored by the owner, and staying in a chatwell that is far more rundown and unsafe than YouTube would suggest. Volunteers, who are expected to run the chateau with little to no pay, come across as overworked and unmotivated. Their treatment perhaps a reflection of a deeper disregard for those who aren't part of the on-screen magic. What was once an enchanting escape for many viewers has now started to feel like a well-spun illusion. The charm, the laughter, the endless optimism, all of it seems to be a stage performance. For those who were once drawn into the dream of the Chateau Diaries, the magic is fading. Now, many are left wondering if they've been duped into funding a fantasy, while the real chateau remains just as broken as the promises that once drew them in.